So, I mean, even a guy that I'm, high on, George Kittle is one of my favorite tight ends to have. He's doubtful for this week and probably going to miss 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm looking at this Niners team right now. So I'm like, what are the Niners going to do, man? They're down Deebo Samuel, down Christian McCaffrey, and now down George Kittle. The options aren't as good for this Niners offense. It's typically like powerful. And as a Niner fan, man, like, I look at Jordan Mason and I'm like, dude, like I didn't want to put him in this RB1 tier initially, but you have to. With George Kittle out, he's one of their best weapons. Brandon Ayuk, if you had him as a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2, he is now a wide receiver 1. Jawan Jennings, as much as he's the wide receiver 3 on this team, with Deebo out, with Kittle out, he is a startable commodity in fantasy now. Like, we have to readjust with injuries. And this Niner team, we got to start here. Jordan Mason might be like roster, like, he's a hard player for me because I have him as like my valuation in my head. If I'm like trying to trade him, I still think of him as like a back end RB2. But when he performs on the field, he's a locked in RB1 right now. You just know at some point Christian McCaffrey's coming back. And to me, it's tough to value him. I look at him as a trade piece more than I do an asset to the fantasy team. But who knows? What if Christian McCaffrey's out an extended period of time?
Yeah.
What if the team, when he comes back, he's like, yo, we got to give this guy a split workload. And he's a flex-worthy player. Like, Jordan Mason's been one of the harder players for me to gauge. And I think right now, if I had him, I'm just keeping him. Keeping him right now, unless I can sell as a high-end RB2, back-end RB1. Then I think I'd move him to kind of cash in at the floor. That's typically what I do. But, Tyler, there ain't even a whole lot of running backs right now. When you talk like ETN, you talk Kyron Williams, a lot of these guys in the middle tier, I'm like, shit, maybe just keep Jordan Mason, bro.
Yeah. No, I would just continue to ride out the wave with Jordan Mason. Like, there's, for what you got him for, I mean, I'm sure there was probably a couple teams that drafted him. Like, I don't even know what his roster. Yeah, like he was free. So I would just continue to ride out the wave because, like you said, I mean, maybe CMC comes back at the end of the whatever 4 weeks that he's technically allowed to come back. Maybe it's even longer. We don't know. Like, maybe re-aggravates it or something. I have no idea. So it's just a situation that I would just continue to ride with Jordan Mason because he is an RB1 when he's playing. Like, the dude's putting up a lot of points. And I will say this weekend is intriguing because they get the Rams, who the Rams, my goodness gracious, they're so banged up, and that defense has been really bad to start the season.
Yeah. No Aaron Donald.
The secondary does not look good either. So I want to say, how many points? Like 40 something points. Arizona hung up on them last week, and that's a divisional game. Like, usually divisional games are closer than what they should be, right? So with them blowing them out, it's just going to be a really interesting game because also San Francisco's down a little bit bad too. But like 100%, I would be starting Jordan Mason as an RB1. I would be starting Brandon Ayuk as a wide receiver 1. But it will be interesting to see if this game plays out like it should, with San Francisco dominating, or maybe they struggle a little bit just because they're down some of their playmakers.
All right. So if you had Jordan Mason right now, somebody offered you Kyron Williams, who are you taking, Jordan Mason or Kyron?
I mean,
that's crazy. That's even, you have to think about it. That's crazy.
It's just the Rams, they're so banged up, and this is not. I probably would lean Kyron just because season long, but yeah, I mean,
it's crazy. It's a bit. I take Kyron too, but I think we're holding on to the name value there, right? Hoping things get better for that Rams offense.
Yeah.
Who'd you take, Jordan Mason or Travis Etienne?
I still would take Travis. I have faith that the offense can get better.
All right, you take Jordan Mason or Rachaad White?
Rachaad White's intriguing. I'm not gonna lie. I was not a big Rachaad White fan heading into the season, and I would take Jordan Mason. The reason being is because I do think that Rachaad White can get pushed. I really think Bucky Irving can push him for touches throughout the season. So Jordan Mason maybe fall off a little bit, but I think that Jordan Mason can put up like bigger numbers while he's actually playing. And you could have Rachaad White when you need him the most at the end of the season. He's not very startable for you if Bucky Irving continues to play the way he's playing.
I still got Rachaad White over Jordan Mason. I get what you're saying, though, like, because even during the time that he plays, he's going to be elite. Like, Jordan Mason's going to be elite, especially if the Niners are down all these damn weapons.
He's arguably like top 5 running back. Like
I hate to I don't know if I could say that I got 5 that are just clearly better.
I would say at least top 8.
Top 8. I would say top 10. Top 10. I think with Kittle and with Debo out, he's top 10 for sure.
And well, because you also have Joe Mixon out. Joe Mixon's out.
Yeah, Joe Mixon's out.
So there's a guy that's down. I mean, you're definitely not starting Ramondre over him.
So right now, currently, Jordan Mason, the running backs that I would for sure, no questions asked, take over Jordan Mason. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Devon Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
That's about where I'm like.
I would say probably James Cook too. I would say James Cook.
James Cook, you there? I'm not there with James Cook yet. I think he had a strong game last week. I'm not there.
I think but just because like the usage, James Cook will always be involved throughout the season. This should be a good offense just with Josh Allen under helm. But I do think after that, it gets a little bit. I would still prefer Travis Etienne because I believe in like this offense can get better. But like then you start to get like Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason,
and it's like
Stevenson.
You have to. The thing is, the hardest part of this is because it caught everybody off guard, and we haven't gotten any honesty out of this Niners camp at all. No. So it could be the prognosis is like it's a 2 to 5 week thing, and then he's on IR, and so now we know for sure it's 4 weeks. They say now 4 to 6 weeks he could be out. But what if it's at the back end of that 6 weeks, or what if he's not ready by the end of that 6 weeks?
Yeah.
We're talking about a week 7, week 8 thing, and the Niners have a week 9 bye. I don't think we see Christian McCaffrey until after week 10.
Week 10.
I think it's week 10, and then it's a ramp up.
That's a lot of high-end production for a guy. Like, obviously, and I hate to say this too, but like, who's to say Christian McCaffrey comes back once again and like, there's not another. Like, you just know with Jordan Mason that the ceiling is there. Like, no, I don't even want to say it's so much Jordan Mason looks good, but it's just like the system's just fantastic for running backs. And as long as the running back's a competent running back, like even Elijah Mitchell was putting up good numbers when he had that year, when Raheem Mostert or whatever got hurt, he was good. So yeah, it's just, these guys are,
this is, I didn't even plan on spending this much time on it, but this is one of those players that's really a predicament because if I'm in an active league that trades, I might be trying to ship off like Jordan Mason a piece for Jahmyr Gibbs, or like Jordan Mason and a piece for Bijan Robinson. I'm trying what I can right now to get rid of Jordan Mason, but I also know like outside of those top 7, 8, 9 players we talked about, there's not much more left that I would just rather have right now. So it's a weird, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching right now are having that same predicament. Like, do I keep him? Do I not? Because if Christian McCaffrey does come back week 7, week 8, you have almost like a dead piece.
Yeah. No,
you have like a flex at best type piece. But if you trade him and then he goes, Christian McCaffrey's out, you have arguably a top 7 to 8 back. Mm-hmm. So that's a tough thing to kind of manage, man, because I don't think we were all expecting him to be just come in and look this good in the offense.
No, I agree.
As far as the receivers go, with Debo out, with Kittle out, how do you feel about Juwan Jennings? That's a name a lot of people are probably asking about. Like, how do you feel about Ayuk and Jennings? Are you putting Ayuk in that elite tier? Are you putting Juwan Jennings as startable? Where are you at with Ayuk and Jennings?
So with Ayuk, I currently have him. Where do I have him? I have him as a top 10 guy. I currently have him at 10. I think like this is just a really good matchup against the Rams. So it's a really good matchup, number one. And with those guys out, like I do think he'll just kind of he'll see a lot of targets in this game. With Juwan Jennings, I don't like, it just depends on who you have, because I do think of like, say Jordan Love's out, right? And I know he practiced, but he's questionable. If he ends up not playing, like I don't think any of those Packers wide receivers are startable. So I'd rather play, like, honestly, I'd rather just roll the dice on Juwan Jennings than a guy who I love and Jaden Reed. It's just with Jaden Reed, it's just Malik Willis is not going to throw the ball a whole lot, and he's not going to be good when he's throwing the ball, or
right.
So I'd rather take him in that shot. So like you're looking at probably like Juwan Jennings towards like wide receiver 40-ish, where I think he's like some of these guys down there, Tyler Lockett, Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman. I think he kind of is in that category where he can put up decent numbers in a good matchup.
Yeah, I have Brandon Ayuk right there. I have him as a wide receiver 1. I got him at 12 right now. And I feel like it's not that's nothing on Ayuk. That's more so on like the receivers that I have ahead of him. Just have been playing stronger, or maybe are stronger considerations for wide receiver one than Ayuk. But for me, like going up against the Tre'Davious White, going up against this secondary, it's been a little exposed this year. It's not the same names that we're accustomed to seeing. And the pass rush just isn't getting there. No Aaron Donald has kind of slowed this thing down. And it's going to be a slower matchup. So I like how you can still, as a wide receiver one, I'm there with you. I'm a little higher, though, on Jauan Jennings, who I feel like this Niner team is going to absolutely need a pass catcher, being down Debo, being down Kittle. And we saw Jauan Jennings in the playoffs last year. He was able to carry a role for this team. So I think he's proven himself to me to be over a guy like a Khalil Shakir, or like, Xavier Worthy or Christian. I feel like I would much rather start him than some of those other options. I actually have him as my wide receiver 33 on the week. So a little higher than you do, even over a guy like a Tank Dell, who's been kind of questionable at times this year. I think there's pretty good floor for Jauan Jennings this week specifically when it comes to the rankings. But once Kittle, once Debo get back, but for now, I think you have a locked in like wide receiver 3, and I think I feel comfortable playing him instead of being like cautious about it,
Mm-hmm.
Personally.
No, absolutely.
And it's crazy because like the Kittle thing kind of came out of nowhere, and like there's no viable like tight end on the team. So
yeah,
it's really going to be those 3 kind of carrying Jordan Mason, Ayuk, and Jennings. So I'm not really. I think Purdy, we kind of know what he is right now, no matter who's on the field. So overall, not really too worried about the Niners players.
Did George? I thought George Kittle got hurt last game, but I thought it was cramps.
Yeah, he got hurt, went and got the IV, and then came back. But all of a sudden, now it's something else.
So this is completely different.
This is a new injury for as far as let me confirm that.
Because I saw this like this was actually not
now.
too long ago. Okay, hamstring.
Yeah, this is a hamstring. So I haven't got the information if this was during the week in practice or if this is related to the IV he had to get during the game. But George Kittle, man. And it sounds like it might be a couple week thing too.